Republican Senator Bill Cassidy sits on the Senate Finance Committee, and he's headed to the White House later today to talk about the president's national emergency declaration and the upcoming vote in the Senate. Great to see you today. The timing is auspicious for us as you head to talk with the president. My first question, though, and what I'm most excited to talk to you about is your idea to use drug cartel money that was seized to help pay. It's north of $600 million now. How did that come about, and is that really going to happen?
Oh, Harris, it's absolutely going to happen. And, of course, it was my idea, so I think it's a fabulous idea. But even if it were not, I would still think it a fabulous idea. This is money confiscated that cartels have gained from selling drugs in the United States, human trafficking, and other criminal activity. They now need to transfer back to, say, Mexico. The fact that we capture that money allows us and then use it for increased border security theoretically could increase the amount of money we seize in the future from related activities. That puts a crimp in the financing of criminal activity, hopefully decreasing criminal activity at the same time as we strengthen our border security.
You know, I've talked with a lot of Border Patrol leadership, and I might be wrong by like $1 billion or so, but it is both cases north of $60 billion, what the cartels are scraping in and what we pay to actually fight them. And it's an interesting juxtaposition now to be in, spending almost as much as they're making. Does this in some way attack that?
Think about it. They're moving at least $60 billion out of the U.S. to other countries. In some cases, financing Hezbollah and terrorism. We're getting $5 billion. That means they are successfully moving $55 billion a year. That is another national emergency. And until we are able to confiscate more of that money, or they're moving less, it shows you how ineffective our current policies are and what a justification there is for more aggressive policy.
Senator Cassidy, what is it going to be like on the Hill? When Democrats, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer of the House and Senate respectively, are saying, no way we're not going to have this argument. We just had this argument. We came out with a bipartisan agreement of 1.4, just shy of that $1 billion for the president's wall. And now he is scooping up and saying, nope, I want more, I need more, and let's get it done now.
I think the argument on their side becomes tougher and tougher because now you have both the New York Times and the Washington Post, which spent about a year denying that there's a problem, now making statements such as the border is at a crisis breaking point. Now, when you have kind of your allies in the media conceding the point to President Trump, maybe the argument's shifting, and maybe those folks better get on the right side of history.
It's interesting. When you also look at other polling, it would seem that people don't want the president to do this by declaring a national emergency and facing a veto and all of that. Are there more members now among the Republicans who are willing to stand tough? It seemed like there would be 15 or so who might vote with Republicans, and today we were reporting the numbers back down to 4.
I think that the president has done an extremely good job of making a legal justification of what he is doing. Again, as you mentioned earlier, I'll be meeting after this interview with representatives from the White House, but they've circulated memos, again, showing that President Obama invoked a national emergency on the southern border as part of his DACA resolution, if I remember correctly. But that's not to say there's not concern about going forward. So we'll see how the bill eventually comes out to the Senate. But when you have headlines in the New York Times saying that the border's at a breaking point, that's persuasive.
Let me just throw one from a Times article last week that caught my eye, and that was about the young mother, the 36-year-old who had been held in a house and raped repeatedly. And forced to work by people who had brought her across the border illegally. And that story was, we pay with our bodies. Those alarming reports now coming from others in the mainstream media. Before I let you go, so you sit down with representatives of the White House. Where are you in all of this with the resolution? What do you think will pass?
I think that Trump's going to get the money.
The $8+ billion. You think that's going to happen?
Oh, yeah. And the wall will be built. And there may be an amendment on the bill, so we'll see what the bill finally looks like. This is unprecedented, so it gives a little bit more latitude as to what can be done with it. But the money will be there, and the wall, which the president has suggested, will be built.
And is that crippling politically as you look at these presidential candidates on the left as they go forward? I mean, they now can't fundraise off of they stopped the president from building their wall. Just real quick, and I got to let you go.
I cannot imagine what people on the left who want to abolish ICE and have open borders are thinking now when they read New York Times articles. I can't speak for them.
Well, it's not a done deal yet. You're going to go take a look at that resolution and see what's in it. But you did bring forth that idea about getting some of the drug cartel money to help pay for the wall. Senator Bill Cassidy, thank you. The great state of Louisiana, great to see you.